everybody. Good morning. All right, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Jordan Mosley. This is the UntiedJordans Sports Podcast. Today is Monday, December the 2nd, 2019. Little word of the day, I guess you could say. Not really per se a famous quote today. Well, yeah, a famous quote, but really generic quote from a guy that we all kind of know and love. Phil Knight, owner of Nike. Just do it. There's no way else I could really explain or elaborate the comment. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, like he says, with the Nike quote, you know what I mean? Like he says, just do it, man. Don't worry about how or the who, the what, the when, or the where. Just do it and get it done. That being said, we got a big lineup of things today, guys. Got some NFL talk. Good morning, Kennyville. Appreciate you being the first tuner in of the show, or the first viewer of the show this morning. Appreciate your support, big dog. We're doing some NFL talk today, guys. A lot of stuff going on. NFL, NCAA football, the NBA, college basketball, some of the stuff with the fight game as far as MMA and boxing, things of that nature as well. My co-host, Stephen Untied, usually I have him here with me, but he is sick with the flu for the second week in a row, so he won't be here with us this morning. But I definitely hope that he feels better going forward. He can, be able to get back to full health, so he can be back here, in the studio with us, and with me, ASAP. So with that being said, let me get straight into it. We're going to go straight into the my 2 cents of the day. What I want to speak about briefly is the underlying factor of like one consistency that's really major and really big in most NFL teams as far as this season. If you look at it, like the very top heavy NFC East, or the very top heavy NFC conference as a whole. NFC East didn't really know nothing. I'll get that in a minute. But the NFC conference as a whole being very top heavy in the playoff race, and the AFC being more kind of like top heavy. But there's a whole rack of teams like with 6 losses, 7 losses, potentially 5 losses that are still in the running to potentially get that last 6th or 5th seed. With that being said, when you look at teams such as the San Francisco 49ers with Joe Staley and Mike McGlinchey and Mike Person and Weston Richburg and Laken Tomlinson, or you look at a team like the Green Bay Packers with an all-pro tackle in David Bakhtiari, Corey Lindsey, you know what I mean, Billy Turner at the right guard, Brian Bulaga at the right tackle, you know what I mean, things like that. When you look at teams such as the New England Patriots, who have Shaq Mason, one of the more underrated offensive guards in the NFL, period, as well as a guy like Isaiah Wynn, who's only 6'3" and some change, but he's playing like a relatively beyond above average tackle, and he's only 2 years tenured, so his ceiling is definitely going in an upward direction for sure. When you look at teams such as the Minnesota Vikings, or you look at teams such as the Baltimore Ravens, that's my main reason for bringing this up. A lot of people talk about what Lamar Jackson can or can't do, or what he's capable of, and what Mark Ingram and Mark Andrews and different guys on the offense as far as skill players are, what they're capable of. But if you look at it from a whole entire view, a whole entire spectrum of it all, TH, good morning, man. Thank you for tuning in. But it's a situation where you look at that and you would see and notice really quickly that the Baltimore Ravens, in my opinion, easily have the most dominating offensive line. Good morning, TJ. How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Them Dolphins got my Eagles yesterday. I'm still hot about that. Shout out my Uncle Melvin. He's a lifelong Dolphins fan. But with that being said, it's a scenario where you look at the Baltimore Ravens and they easily have the most dominant offensive line in football this year. It's not even close. You got Ronnie Stanley, Bradley Bozeman, an Alabama grad, a guy named, last name McCarry, number 65. Don't really know much about the guy. He, I think his name is Dan Skura, or Scooter. Well, I want to say it's Dan Skura, number 68. What's going on, man? One of the best receivers in the IFL right there, man. That boy Ryan Valentine. You know what I'm saying? Shout out my boy. But with that being said, with the whole Baltimore Ravens situation, they had a guy named Dan Skura, who was the primary center for Baltimore throughout the season until he had a really nasty knee injury against the Ravens last Sunday night. So he was not a part of the situation anymore. He's out for the season. But going forward, you have Marshall Yanda, who to me, for the amount of time he's been in the NFL, he's easily the best guard in the league for the amount of time he's been there. A lot of people would like to argue me and say Zach Martin's a better guard, or even a guy like Quentin Nelson, who's really out here pasting guys if you watch the Indianapolis Colts Sunday in and Sunday out. But he's definitely the most dominant guy for him being, if I'm not mistaken, at least a 11-year vet now. But then again, he's an Iowa guy. If you know anything about Iowa college football, they're going to play great offensive line and a great defensive line, play with technique and just overall like great development of their trenchman up there. So one kind of wonder what's in the Kool-Aid up in Iowa. But that being said, when you look at even teams in the AFC, such as the Houston Texans, you got a guy like Nick Martin, arguably the most underrated offensive lineman in all of the NFL. You have a guy like Laramie Tunsil, who was in a really, really volatile situation in Miami and ended up with his running buddy Kenny Stills on a playoff team. Now I feel like Houston's going to come out of the South, so I think they got a little more firepower than the Titans. But so my point is, because my 2 cents sometimes is a little longer, and sometimes it's a little bit shorter, but it's a scenario where my 2 cents won't be that long today. But I did want to speak briefly on the fact that a lot of great teams and a lot of great NFL play takes place on a regular basis. And one of the sad truths about that situation that doesn't really get enough recognition or one of the beautiful truths that sadly doesn't get enough recognition is the fact that, offensive line play is key. Offensive line play is ridiculously integral and ridiculously vital to what takes place on a football field, whether you're talking arena football, indoor football, whether you're talking the NFL, whether you're talking Canada, college football, even high school football, even Pee-wee football. It's all about trench play. Trench play is everything. So that's my 2 cents on the day, I guess you could say, in a nutshell, as far as like a statement for my 2 cents is, my 2 cents is give offensive line credit for things that they do on the field. And then on top of that, like when you wonder why your team is good offensively in the NFL, look at your O-line. Guaranteed, every team that makes one of the 6 playoff seeds will have a Pro Bowl O-lineman. That's a direct correlation of what I'm speaking of. I think the Pro Bowl votes come out in like 2 or 3 weeks, so you guys check that out. Good morning, Gino. What's going on, man? Thank you for tuning in. So, getting right into it. Thanksgiving weekend. Hope everybody Thanksgiving was last weekend. Hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Hope everybody, definitely ate well and, had opportunity to spend time with their family, different things of that nature, your loved ones, you better have, etc. Hope everybody got an opportunity to just have a good time and see some of the good football that we had. And let's jump into some of the football that we saw. First with the NFL. We'll wait on the Thanksgiving football because that's something else I want to speak about because I want to give my Dallas Cowboy fans a little bit of hell out there. But with that being said, the San Francisco 49ers versus the Baltimore Ravens yesterday, absolutely amazing matchup. I had an opportunity to watch the game from the first quarter all the way to the fourth quarter as I was watching my Philadelphia Eagles disappointingly perform against the Miami Dolphins. That being said, it was literally a game in conclusion, because I don't want to, I got a lot to cover, but in conclusion, it was a game, to me, in my opinion, where, thank you, Ms. April, for your support. Thank you for tuning in, too. Good morning. So it was a situation to me where I feel like with how the game played out, it played out on such an even keel and on such a balanced job on both sides, on both ways, to where, it's a scenario, in my opinion, where everything that you could have saw, you saw from that game, offensively, defensively, special teams wise, and it came down to a field goal on 4th down in the fourth quarter on the last play of the game. There aren't many games, there aren't many scenarios in professional football, in the NFL, in the regular season, where you can ask for more, as far as a regular season NFL game between the 2 best teams in the league from different conferences, respectively, by way of record. You have the best team in the NFC and the best team in the AFC. And after New England's loss last night, Baltimore is now the number 1 seed, which gives them even more validation in them beating San Francisco. Now you're the top dog in the AFC, and you just beat the top dog in the NFC. So that's really dope, to be honest with you. So with that being said, And I also feel like, in the grand scheme of things, like, you know, the situation that is, you know, the San Francisco 49ers is really interesting, and it's very refreshing to see them be great again. And it was you know, it was really fun to see them be in a regular season matchup of such magnitude. It took me back to the days as a kid of watching, you know, the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers back in the day, or the San Francisco 49ers sometimes when the Carolina Panthers and when the Atlanta Falcons were really good. And they were, you know, in those old NFC Central matchups, if you can remember back before they recertified or they redivisioned or realigned the divisioning and the conferencing of the NFL. So I thought that was a really good game. Both trenches played amazingly well. That was a point of my 2 cents. The Baltimore Ravens O-line is really great, but the best D-line in the NFL, bar none, in the end, is easily the San Francisco 49ers. And San Francisco got some plays in. Baltimore got some great blocks in. Good morning, P. I appreciate your support, man. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. But it was a situation where, you know, I feel like personally, it was just super, super dope. It was a super great thing to see. You know what I'm saying? It was a super great game to watch. Philadelphia versus the Miami Dolphins. I won't say much, but as of right now, we wasted $114 million on Carson Wentz, and I don't mind telling people that. I don't mind telling the world that. I don't mind telling media that. I also feel like we can't possibly have the type of fire in your ass that you're supposed to have when you're in a basically 4-game race with another team in a division that's way more healthier than you, but just not playing up the talent. Because sometimes when those teams eventually go throughout the matriculation of a season, that talent catches up and it clicks. It's like a light switch. It makes sense. So I feel like ultimately, you know, Dallas potentially could get a lot better very soon because they're not as hurt or injured as we are. But we got to get it together. And on top of that, if you're super motivated to make the playoffs, then you don't go down into Miami and lose. But in the defense of the Miami Dolphins, the toughest place, one of the toughest places, they say, in the NFL to play in December is in Miami, or late November, early December. Well, technically, yesterday was the first. But yeah, December in Miami is a difficult spot to go get a win in just because of the fact it's nice. You know, it's Miami. Distractions are aplenty, you know, things of that nature. And then, of course, you're playing down to a team that's usually subpar than you want to field to, so that plays into it as well. The Tennessee Titans are in the Indianapolis Colts. The resurgence of Ryan Tannehill. As of this past Friday, they've come to the table thinking about even potentially extending him after this upcoming 2020 season, where they want to franchise tag him. Where in situations like how he arrived there, as far as acquisition, they could have just played him and cut him and let it be no harm, no foul. But they're thinking about picking up his tag, so it's really good to see Ryan Tannehill kind of come back from almost a point of being like, you know, just totally out of the league, from, you know, being in a situation where he's in a good scenario in Tennessee behind another decent O-line. Taylor Lewan, Ben Jones, Georgia Bulldogs is their center. Can't think of the left guard. Jack Conklin, a Michigan State graduate, is the right tackle as well. You know, so they got two great tackles and they got a really good center in Tennessee, so it makes sense. Offensive line play correlates directly. Is a direct correlation or parallel to good football. Any team that plays good football, they got a good O-line. Good morning, Didi. Appreciate your support, baby. Good morning, too, Shannon. What's going on, cuz? What's going on, Shay? That being said, getting on to Cincinnati, they won yesterday, so kudos to Cincinnati. They're the last team in the NFL without a win, so now there's no team in the NFL without a win, but Joe Burrow's on line 1, so that's pretty good for the Cincinnati Bengals. Lamar Jackson, absolutely unstoppable as of right now. I don't know of anything, way, shape, form, fashion, person, entity, or otherwise that can stop what Lamar Jackson wants to get accomplished. I definitely have to tip my hat to him as far as the focus that he has. Doesn't give a damn about MVP. Doesn't give a damn about Offensive Player of the Year. Doesn't give a damn about the first seed in the playoffs. He wants to win a Super Bowl. There's nothing more that he's worried about and nothing more that he's entrenched about than winning a Super Bowl. In 2018, in my arena career, when I really was dead serious about wanting to win a Super Bowl, good morning, Chuck. Appreciate you, my boy. Appreciate you always tuning in. In 2018, when me and my boy Charles McCullum went out here and put our 1/8 in to win this bad boy right here, it was a situation where we weren't focused on anything but winning the championship. We weren't worried about all league votes that we didn't get. We weren't worried about certain things that we didn't get. We weren't worried about fans coming out that we wanted to see more of. It was a scenario where we were hell bent on winning a championship, and that was general nucleic or the nucleus of focus of our team, and then it brought us a 3.5 pound nice gold ring with a lot of stones in it. So I understand exactly where Lamar's coming from, and more specifically, I just love the fact he's being so humble. I love the fact of how he carries himself. There was a quote that came out earlier this week. I want to say it was this past Thursday. Lamar Jackson took his time personally out of, he's quarterback of the team. He's got to go watch film, got to go prepare, But after practice, he took his time and went to go speak to like 15 to 18 different guys in the Ravens training room who are IR end of the season guys who he know they ain't gonna be out there towards helping the cause, but you're a part of the cause because you're my teammate. And in Lamar's eyes, probably he looks at you like a brother. So it's a scenario where he's behind you 1,000%. That's the type of quarterback you want to play for, the type of quarterback you want to protect, the type of quarterback you want to put your life and your body on the line for Sunday in and Sunday out. Speaking of quarterback play, let's talk about the Carolina Panthers. They lost yesterday to the Washington Redskins. Dwayne Haskins looked pretty good. I like what Dwayne Haskins has going on. They're a team, in my opinion, has a really great O-line, but they don't play good football around it. Trent Williams, they got to figure that situation out because the way they handled that was ridiculous. But the Trent Williams went healthy. Brandon Scherf, right guard. Josh Larabeau, the center, and then you got Morgan Moses as the right tackle and Sean Laveo as the left guard. So that's another really, really good old line unit. Doesn't get enough credit out, so I should give them a little shout out. But Carolina's quarterback debacle. If you guys can wait, good morning, Chris Sams. Thank you for tuning in every Monday. My boy Chris Sams don't play. He always tune in to UntiedJordans. He knows what's going on. But and my boy Chuck too. I got to shout my boy. Just one of the same flat. What's going on, my boy? But with that being said, it's a scenario where you have to look at, in my opinion, you have to see, okay, if you give Cam Newton 12 months to get 100% healthy, and you let him surgically repair what's hurt on him, and then you can pick up a $22.1 million cap hit, which means he's going to be in the middle half of what quarterbacks make next year. So you're not getting, as we say in the hood, you're not getting your head bust for your product. So it's a situation where that's really, really dope to potentially see that happen, but it's something that Carolina definitely needs to address because Kyle Allen ain't it. And if you ask me, your quarterback definitely isn't on the open market for this upcoming season or this upcoming, appreciate you tuning in, Justin Shirt. Good morning, man. He's definitely not on anywhere on anybody else's roster right now. I don't know too many quarterbacks that would want to necessarily just drop everything and go to Carolina. So your quarterback's probably on IR being Cam Newton or he's in college because it's not Kyle Allen. So y'all need to figure that out. The wide receiver position, in my opinion, has been too underappreciated this year. Mike Thomas potentially could be the MVP. He's on a top 2 or 3 team. If you add Seattle to this, he's on a top 3 team in the NFC, and he's blowing everybody out of the water in receiving as far as catches and yards, except for the 2 guys down in Tampa Bay, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who are also going slap crazy for Jameis Winston. But then again, when you got a guy like Bruce Arians and a guy like Jameis Winston who can throw 60, I wouldn't say 60, but who could throw 40 to 45 balls a game, makes perfect sense. D, appreciate you, my boy. Good morning, man. Thank you for tuning in. John Keith Jr., thank you for good morning, man. Thank you guys for tuning in for sure. With that being said, the NFC East, I don't really know what's going to happen with the NFC East. We'll see. But if we're losing to the Miami Dolphins and the Dallas Cowboys are losing to the Buffalo Bills, who are way better than the Miami Dolphins, I think we're in trouble. And if we can't find the motivation to want to go down to Miami and beat a team that we definitely should have beat that aren't better than us, then I definitely think we're in trouble. But me being a diehard Eagles fan 21 years in, I like us to win. I like us to go to playoffs. I'm willing to argue that with anybody. I'm willing to argue that with anybody as far as comments today or comments on these different live posts. That's 100% fine with me too. So you guys can do what you will with that. But that's just my opinion. With that being said, Cleveland's lack of offensive firepower per personnel that they have afforded to them. Baker Mayfield, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Odell Beckham Jr., a healthy David Njoku when he's healthy, because I think he's not healthy right now. Jarvis Landry. This is ridiculous, right? Joel Bitonio, one of the better offensive guards in the league. So it's a man. My Eagles gonna go to the playoffs. So we gonna talk about that later, big dog. I'm riding with my boys. I'm riding with Philly for sure. But nonetheless, it's a scenario, in my opinion, where the NFC East, who knows? Like, who knows how it's going to go? Who knows how it's going to play out? I myself personally, it's a trip. But back to my point with Cleveland, though, like, with Cleveland, it's just really disappointing to see all of that talent to come together, and it can't, like, work. And I mean work consistently. Something working in the NFL is it showing consistency 4 weeks or 5 weeks or better in a row, i.e. the Baltimore Ravens running game, or even better example, the Baltimore Ravens passing game between the hashes. That's something that's worked for them all season long, so it works. We see a lot of spurts and a lot of splashes of the Cleveland Browns' offense, and it's very frustrating because I like offense. I play offensive line. I like to score points. I like defense too, but I love to score points. Love to see them score. So, my boy D was going on one of my day ones right there, man. But, it's a scenario where I just feel like Cleveland just got to figure it out. I don't know if it's Freddie Kitchens. It's definitely not John Dorsey because he's going to get you he's going to get you every single shotgun shell you want in your shotgun possible. Shout out to John Dorsey. He's an amazing GM. But, Freddie Kitchens, man, y'all got to figure it out. Your OC, your line coach, your receivers coach, y'all got to figure that thing out down there in Cleveland. I'm just saying. Marquise Pouncey, if I'm not mistaken, is free after this week. So they freed Big Bro. That's what's going on. Anybody would ever attack my quarterback like that, I'll be on your behind the same way. So I don't disagree with that at all. So they definitely need to free him. That was really dope. How they took a situation and made it to where they could glorify it and make it cool, and it was really, really stupid and very, very pedestrian of Freddie Kitchens to even put himself in a scenario to be put out in a space like that. Like, why even wear the shirt? Why even listen to your daughter's suggestion of wearing the shirt out, to put it in a jacket, to possibly be seen by a Cleveland Browns fan, to take a selfie that you know is going to go viral? Like, leave that T-shirt in the closet. Where's your wife to tell you to leave that T-shirt in the closet, babe? Doesn't make a lot of sense. So, I guess for the NFL, make sure I don't miss anything. Oh yeah, Thanksgiving Day. This will be a very short kicking it old school because I got to speak to my boy Topics, and even though he's not here, excuse me, because that's a segment for the day. That he has every episode. So, quick kicking it old school. It never gets old to me. If it's old to you, then shame on you. 3 catches, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns. Randy Moss, 98, rookie year, Thanksgiving versus the Cowboys. Randy Moss dropped all the way to the 21st pick, if I'm not mistaken. Dallas had him at 12, or Dallas had to pick at 12, didn't take him. Jerry Jones forever is like, I should have took that guy, this, that, and the third. I like that 6. I don't know so much about Chicago, but I could see Minnesota coming out instead of Chicago. You know what I mean? Because they may end up with more wins than Chicago and Philly, but I don't know how that whole 6 seed thing kind of plays out if you're not, you know what I mean? So that's a conversation worth having for sure. I'm gonna get to that in a second. But it's a scenario where I just feel like ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, the NFL, it's interesting this year, to say the least. Of everything that's going on. Like I said, and in reference to Randy Moss on Thanksgiving, man, is easily the most, like, I remember it being one of the first moments where I really saw and like kind of fell in love with the aspect of like scoring points and being an athlete on the football field. Because I was like, wow. Like, I was watching my dad, like, wow, that is amazing. Like, who is this guy? He's like, he's Randy Moss. He's gonna be the best receiver to ever live. You'll see it more than I would because you're younger. But just watch and see it. Sure enough, my dad was right. Randy Moss, the best thing ever, arguably the best thing to ever put on a pair of turf shoes and run around up there in Minnesota. It's not even close. Maybe Chris Carter's second, but it's not even close to me in my opinion. So, getting to my point in reference to segueing into college football, the Iron Bowl. I've seen most of the Iron Bowls that people talk about that are historic. The Kick 6 Chris Davis Iron Bowl, the Cam Newton shutting them up at Bryant-Denny Stadium Iron Bowl. 6-6 was going on, man. One of my big homies, man, Terrence Smith, man. Good dude right there. Good morning, man. Thank you for tuning in. And it's a scenario, in my opinion, where I see that, that Iron Bowl like that I saw this past weekend, easily one of it lacked the biggest of big moments, but the pick six, things of that nature that they had, it was easily one of the biggest and best Iron Bowls that I've seen in a long time per what was on the line for Alabama. It'll be very, very weird to see Alabama not in the playoff. It was very weird to see Alabama outside of the AP top 5, which is the first time this has happened in 4 years as of yesterday when the AP poll comes out, because the AP poll comes out Sundays around 12 noon, 1 o'clock Eastern time, just for future reference, for information reference. But the Iron Bowl was really, really dope. Seeing tailback number 8 from Auburn running through Alfonso, I think it's Alonzo McKinney. Sorry if I butchered your name, buddy, but he definitely ran through your chest. I saw the clip where his helmet is literally on his chin as his helmet is flown off his head. So I think in a perfect situation, that was in a nutshell how. I think in a nutshell, that's definitely to speak to how much they feel, or how Auburn feels about Alabama, or just the clash of the two entities that is Alabama football and Auburn football in relation to the Iron Bowl. Touche. I feel like this, and just a little playoff picture talk with the NFL. I feel like this, because I take all things coming in from comments. So anybody on my Facebook Live, y'all want to chime in anything you want to speak about or speak to me about, please feel free. But, I think personally that the playoff picture could work like that. I think Minnesota could beat the Chicago Bears because the Minnesota Vikings have a way better offense than the Chicago Bears, and I know you would agree with me on that. I don't think you'd argue that with me. But I feel like New England, Baltimore, Kansas City, Houston, Buffalo, Indy, I like that I definitely like that for the AFC. Now, everybody's kind of in there with the AFC, except the only team that I would potentially swap out is Tennessee over Indy, but then again, Tennessee, they don't finish well, so we'll see. Green Bay, New Orleans, San Francisco, Dallas, Seattle, Chicago. Still around with that Philly pick, but I feel like Minnesota's defense is better than Chicago's defense, player for player. And you're talking about player-wise, name-wise, talking about 2 of the top 5, 6 defenses in the NFL, both of them. So that's just my personal opinion. Coach Hemphill, Jason Hemphill, man, thank you for tuning in, man. Good morning. So segueing through more of college football talk, OSU versus Michigan, another slap job put on by the Ohio State Buckeyes against the Michigan Wolverines. Jim Harbaugh went 9-3. That's not bad. That keeps a lot of coaches, a lot of places for a long, long time. Jim Harbaugh can't beat Michigan. And on top of that, Corey Moore, thank you for tuning in. And then on top of that, not only can he not beat Michigan, but it's literally up under his skin now. A reporter asked him, what is it? Is the gap in recruiting? Is it the gap in coaching, etc.? And Jim Harbaugh had the audacity to say, I'm going to answer questions, not your insults. I don't feel like that was an insult, bro. There's a major gap in how y'all recruit. There's a major gap in the coaching. There's a major gap in the playmaking. Why? College football is all about the lead. It's all about the person at the top. Not talking about the AD or the chancellor. I'm talking about the head coach. It's all about the head coach in college football. If your head coach can't do certain things and can't get it done in certain ways against certain teams, then it's not going to happen. Yeah, appreciate you tuning in, man. Good morning. Okay, that's fair, and I ain't gonna lie to you. More playoff talk with the Bears. I just feel like I don't mind Chicago's defense, but I would ride with Minnesota's defense any given day when they're healthy. Everson Griffin and Daniil Hunter. You got Linville Joseph. You got Eric Kendricks and Anthony Barr. You got Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks. Michael Kendricks' brother. You got Harrison Smith. You got Xavier Rhodes. You got Trey Waynes. I'm just saying that's a hell of a defense too, Chuck. But I get where you're coming from as well. And yeah, truth be told, Ohio State gonna go in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, anywhere in the South, Alabama, Mississippi. They go anywhere in the South and go get some talent. Ohio State recruits nationally. Michigan don't recruit nationally anymore. I don't disagree with that. The last time I can think of a guy that Michigan recruited nationally was Devin Asiasi. He's a starting tight end in Michigan, and nobody knows who he is. My exact point. So, with that being said, I don't think Jim Harbaugh will be there long because Michigan's tired of losing to Ohio State. And when you can't beat Ohio State in Michigan, it's worse than being a bad coach in Michigan. It's like a funk that you can't get out of your clothes. Or it's like a stink you can't get out of your clothes. It just doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? So that's just my personal opinion. That's just, and I'll check my stats. I can go for that. And from there, we'll speak about the Egg Bowl situation that was. I feel like you gotta penalize the kid for the dog celebration, but they also got to do a better job of what's good and bad celebration in college football. Yeah, they got the old mandate, the old handbook that came back from that was basically created from my 80s and early 90s Hurricanes. Shout out to Canes from back in the day. But nonetheless, like, they got to do a better job of telling kids nowadays what's going on. You know what I mean? You got, like, you know, it's just what you see guys in the NFL that come out with a new dance every week. Then you see guys in college want to do it. That's the trend. Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? He didn't do the dog urinating on the peeing on the fire, peeing on the fire thing or the fire hose thing or whatever, or the fire, whatever you want to call it. I can't think of the name of it. But he didn't think about it. Or the referees or that guy didn't, and it was a hell of a game. Facts. But you can't say that guy probably saw Odell do that last season and was like, okay, I'm gonna do it too because I'm a dog. It makes sense. It correlates. Like, but kickers, you gotta make your kicks. You gotta make your kicks. I wouldn't give a fat baby's tail about none of that. You line up, you make your kick. You have one job. You got to go to class. You got to show the work weights and workouts like we do and all that, and then you gotta make your kicks. You come to practice, you don't do nothing else. You do a little conditioning, and you kick the ball. Y'all got to make y'all kicks, kickers. Just saying, you get one job. Do your job. Georgia Tech versus the Georgia Bulldogs. Clean, old-fashioned hate. Not so much clean Saturday. More old-fashioned. George Pickens, T.J. Swilling, or Georgia Tech's All-American from the 90s, Pat Swilling's son is T.J. Swilling. George Pickens is a freshman from the University of Georgia. Number one, he will not be in the first half of the SEC championship because he mollywopped T.J. Swilling. Now, I'm not making a point of that, but this is the point I am making. You can't do things like that in a game that is so non-existent and non-important in what's going on. And oh, by the way, they scored 52 points against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. That's the biggest margin they've ever won a clean old-fashioned hate in, ever. 45-point margin. So that was really stupid. Makes no sense. And you hurt your team on the back end because your best offensive threat is not going to go into Atlanta 100% healthy right now, which is DeAndre Swift. So, and by the way, on the edges, block on the edges, receivers, because if I'm not mistaken, that could have been a scenario that could have been avoided with Swift if you just want to block a little bit more on the edge, skill guy, just saying. And very selfish move, but it's real hate. A lot of people don't understand that, and I'm very glad that Charles pointed that I can speak to that. Rivalries in the South are different from a Michigan, Ohio State, or a USC, or Oregon State. Like Alabama don't like Auburn. Auburn don't like Alabama. It's wives and husbands that couldn't do their thing after the game like adults like to do because of how that game went down. It's people that it's people who fight literally in country back roads of Georgia about Georgia Tech. It's serious things. We won't get into Carolina Clemson because that's not much of a rivalry nowadays because Carolina's so bad and Clemson's so much ridiculously better than Carolina. But still, it's a big rivalry back home. I'm from Columbia. I'm from Gamecock country. That's a big thing back home. Carolina fans, Clemson week, don't say Clemson, they don't wear orange. Clemson fans, Carolina week, don't say Carolina, they don't wear red, black, garnet, or white, period. Except unless their white has some Clemson trim in it. That's like law. And back to the George Mickens point, he, to me, I think he's their third best receiver behind Blaylock, Cager, and him. But Cager not being there at all is definitely going to be a big loss because now it's your top two. You got one of your top two guys that will be there anyway. He's not going to be there. So, facts. You know what I'm saying? And facts. Big love lost behind them rivalries down here in the South. I don't know about how y'all kicking it anywhere else in the country, but down in the South, we don't play by our rivalry football, college football. So, my Heisman top four right now. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow, number one. I'm going to go with Chase Young, number two. Yes, Chase Young should be in New York. I'm willing to argue that with anybody. He has now, I want to say, because I think he had like 2 sacks against Michigan, so he should be at 18 and a half, and he missed 2 games. He takes those 2 games back. He's got over 20 sacks. people forget the sack leader last year was a guy named Jalen Ferguson. He was a 4th-round draft pick to the Baltimore Ravens. He's their starting outside linebacker right now. He had 18 and a half sacks for the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs last year. Coach Brooks, what's going on, man? One of my big homies right there, Warren Brooks, man. Good person, man. Good bro. You know what I'm saying? That being said, scenario where, I feel like, in my opinion, it can't be a situation where Chase Young can't be in New York. He's an amazing talent. He's easily the best defensive player in college football. It's not even close. Just send him. Y'all not gonna give him the reward. So at least let him be a part of it because he deserves it. And with how they just wiped out Texas A&M last weekend, and with the mystique and the prowess that has been Joe Burrow all season, I've been a Joe Burrow for Heisman guy since after they beat Bama. I felt like he put his name on a trophy. Period. So, what he'll do going forward, as long as he doesn't go out there and wet the bed against UGA in Atlanta, he'll be fine. And Chase definitely deserves a trip for sure. He's the best pass rusher to me to come out of college football in the last probably 2.5, 3 years. And I don't mind saying that. Because the best pass rusher from this class that you could think of right now is a 4th-rounder, Max Crosby from Eastern Michigan. Pass rush is not necessarily a guaranteed thing in the NFL. But when you see a guy like Chase Young doing what he's doing in college, that's going to correlate. That's going to directly correlate. He's 6'5", 260 pounds. He's got hips like he's a corner. As far as how he dips, things of that nature. My third pick, I'm going to go right now with Jalen Hurts from Oklahoma. Big-time comeback moments, great focus, and I think personally that he's earned a trip to New York over with the body of work that he's put out there in his time in college football, period. Excuse me, my 4th and last pick, which I think is a pick that doesn't get enough respect, but definitely Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, he wipes the ACC, but Trevor Lawrence didn't ask the ACC to be pie. Trevor Lawrence puts on his pants like everybody else, and he does what he needs to do. And that definitely speaks to why Chase Young is great, because he played behind Nick Bosa. People forget that, myself included. So I definitely feel like Trevor Lawrence should definitely be what if you disagree, Mike Youngblood, give me a comment as far as to what your take is on it. I'm all ears, my boy. But that being said, I feel like Trevor Lawrence should definitely go to New York because he's got the best track record of all of these great quarterbacks the last 2 years. Joe Burrow wasn't doing this last year. Jalen Hurts, he was in limbo last year. Justin Fields was in limbo last year. When you look at Trevor Lawrence won a national championship last year. And he balled out in the national championship game last year. And he put himself in a position where he killed Alabama when they were great. And he came back this year and boat raced the ACC. What else do you want from the kid? Give it to that for the sake of the body of work. And I see that you 100% agree, Mike, but all I'm saying is give me a comment as in to your opinion so we can speak on that, so I can speak back to you about it. This past weekend, we had kind of a Black Saturday, or a Black Sunday, if you will, in college football. Charlie Strong, Steve Addazio, and Barry Odom are all out as head coaches at their respective programs. Barry Odom put in 2 years in Missouri, didn't do much in Missouri, and actually, in my opinion, his main worst move was bringing in Kelly Bryant because they thought Kelly Bryant, good morning, Ms. Lynn, how are you? They thought Kelly Bryant was going to be a guy where, he was going to be the savior for Missouri football, but it totally worked out really, really bad, and he didn't even finish the season. I think he's on IR with an ankle or something like that. Steve Addazio's out in Boston College. I don't disagree with this because Steve Addazio brought a toughness and he brought a kind of a southern swagger to Boston College that I don't think they'll get again from the next guy. Because I don't see them going to pluck another guy to the SEC. But then again, you never know who regions are talking to with athletic directors trying to go get coaches. Charlie Strong being out at South Florida. Not really a fan of the firing. I think Charlie Strong is one of the best coaches in college football. He's one of the best people in college football because I know people who know Charlie Strong personally. I've met Charlie Strong personally. He's a good dude. But I feel like also he needs to be in a big Power 5 conference. That's what best caters to what it is in which he does. Not playing group of 5 football. He needs to be a coordinator in the SEC or in the ACC or potentially a head coach in the ACC. Let Charlie Strong coach in big-time college football because that's what he deserves. That's what he knows. I remember Charlie Strong back in the day when he was at the University of South Carolina before he went, or when he was at Florida, and South Carolina couldn't do nothing with him. You know what I mean? So I mean, TCU beat them, but I'm saying, like, look at your comments you just made, Mike. I'm not disagreeing with you, but think about it. Look at his whole body of work this year. And you showed me how many people deserve to be in New York over him. Chris Martin, one of the best pass rushers in the IFL. Thank you, man. Good morning, man. Thank you for tuning in. With that being said, let me see. Felipe Franks, he decided to transfer from Florida. Not really mad at that, but this is my thing. And I'm saying this to any and all kid out here who listens or who potentially, and I agree with that. And I know you ain't telling me no lie, Chris, because I know you will get it. You know what I'm saying? So I know you can speak to certain things, my boy. So I appreciate that little inside intel. But and that's crazy. But Dan Mullen working down there. You got to admit. You know what I'm saying? If that's the time period you're speaking about, then But I feel like ultimately with the whole Felipe Franks situation, speaking to all kids who do transfer, man, compete, man. Now if you compete and it don't work, cool, go somewhere else to where you want it. But don't just run for the hill because you don't want to compete. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if him and Trask go to camp this upcoming season for one more year, even though Felipe's coming off of a really bad injury, then it could work. You know what I'm saying? Well, I won't argue that with you. You're a quarterback. But I will say this. I just want to see Buddy come back from the recovery and compete and see what could come of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just my opinion on that, personally. But with that being said, Pat Sullivan passed away. 1971 Heisman winner, Auburn quarterback. He was the first Jersey retired at Auburn University before a brother named Vincent Jackson, better known as Bo, came in and did what he did from 81 to 85 and won the 85 Heisman, and then they retired at 34 shortly thereafter in the early 90s. But it's a situation where with Pat Sullivan, you definitely can feel like his ghost was there in Jordan-Hare Stadium this past Saturday against the Alabama Crimson Tide from just seeing some of those really, really wild plays that took place. I'm gonna give a special shout out at the moment to John McKissick, the head coach at the posthumous head coach at Somerville High School. I'm gonna give another short my 2 cents about Coach McKissick at the end of the show because he deserves it. Wow, Jeremy Foley's a hater. That's a trip, Chris. I didn't even know all that, bro. So, quick championship previews. I got LSU over UGA by 10 points. I may post some scores, but I may not. I got Clemson over UVA. It's not close. Clemson's really hell bent to show people they need to respect what's going on in Clemson, and I'm not mad at it, Dabo. Show them boy how we play college football in South Carolina. I ain't mad at it, my boy. Now, granted, a lot of your people that you got out there that star ball players ain't from South Carolina, but we'll figure that out down the way. We'll figure that out on the back end. Oklahoma Baylor may be the best championship game to watch because you're going to have both teams fully loaded, potentially no defense. So it's going to be a fireworks game or a little bit of defense shows up and you got like a 45-38 kind of game or something like that. So we'll see. I got Oklahoma in a type of game of they win the game if they get the ball last. Or excuse me, I have Oklahoma winning the game in a style of game of the team that gets the ball last will win the game. So I got Oklahoma winning that. Utah versus Oregon. I got Utah winning. I watched Jacob Eason from the Washington Huskies play against Utah a few weeks ago, and I saw a really, really pedestrian, really super pedestrian team in relation to Washington as far as up front. Utah doesn't do nothing but pass rush. Oregon's got the best O-line arguably in the Pac-12, not in Utah. So we'll see. Be a great matchup, but I got Utah pulling that out. My top 4 prediction. I got LSU number 1. This is for tomorrow. Well, this is for tomorrow. I got LSU number 1 because they boat raced Texas A&M. I got OSU number 2 because they also boat raced Michigan, but LSU just did it in a really, really grandiose, really nice fashion, the way they beat up on Texas A&M Saturday night. I got Clemson 3rd. I got UGA 4th. Nothing really has changed. My 5th is Oklahoma, and my 6th is Utah. I got Oklahoma on the outside looking in if UGA takes a loss. My potential college football playoff pick, I'll give it a week early for the Final 4. I'm going to go LSU, OSU, Clemson, LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, and Oklahoma. I think LSU is going to beat Georgia because Georgia just shot themselves in the foot by way of some of the things that happened in the clean old-fashioned hate game that don't got nothing to do with the game, but it hurt them for Atlanta, for the championship. So I feel like Oklahoma's going to slide into that 4th spot if they can win the Big 12. If they don't win the Big 12, I don't know who's going to get the 4th spot. DeAndre Dix, thank you for tuning in, man. One of the best defensive player to ever play at Johnson C. Smith. There you go, my boy, big homie. So let me definitely say that I don't know who's going to be the 4th pick if Oklahoma loses and Georgia loses. I don't know who's going to take the 4th. I was going to say this past week I was really hoping that Minnesota would do what they need to do against Wisconsin, but they didn't. So it is what it is. I guess the boat can only row so much in ice. So because it's freezing cold up in Minnesota, that's the joke. But we shall see as far as PJ Fleck goes. They gave him a 6-year contract extension 2 weeks ago when they thought Florida State was going to want to pluck him out of Minnesota back down to Tallahassee. So he's got 6 years. He got about 4.5 out of 6 years to make it work. So we'll see. Definitely one of the best stories this year was seeing Minnesota football be good though, for sure. In the NBA, James Harden scored 60 points in 3 quarters. I don't think I need to speak to how dope that is. I don't think I need to do too much commenting on how amazing of an athletic feat that is. I played youth basketball for like 2 years, and I don't think I ever scored a total of 60 points in my whole career. So for him to score 60 points in 3 quarters of an NBA game, that's 36 out of 40. Yeah, 36 out of 48 minutes. That's pretty amazing. And then to sit pretty much the whole 4th, like didn't get hurt, didn't tech out, didn't foul out. He just, all right, have a seat because you've given them to me. You've given them enough buckets for today and tomorrow. That's crazy. The Deion Waiters playing issue. So apparently now it's water under the bridge. He took a weed edible, and was like geeking on the plane super hard or whatever, like tripping out. Very, very tasteless, unprofessional move by Deion Waiters. But a lot of guys in the NBA, you see them do things like this, which goes to show you that they're really not too tough worried about like the bad of it all as so much as just living their lives because they're NBA guys. And then anybody who knows a hooper, they're more to be seen and never heard. They're like, they enjoy being cool. So I'm not mad at that at all. But just be more professional going forward, Deion Waiters, because that's not necessary. Your name is not in the news because you're doing anything great in the NBA right now. Your name is in the news because you took a weed edible on the plane like a dumbass. Come on, bro. Like, what are you in it for? The Los Angeles Lakers lost to the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic had another double-double, and he's seeming to be a guy who's not afraid of going at LeBron, and I love it. I love LeBron James, one of my favorite athletes on the planet by far, is not even close. But man, he's going at brothers. He goes at that brother's neck when he go with him and Luka go at it. And obviously, LeBron gonna hold court. He gonna give it right back to you. But man, that is crazy how that. So yeah, that's a trip. That's a trip. You know what I mean? That's definitely a trip for sure. Just to see what Luka Doncic is doing with the combination of him and Kristaps Porzingis. It's a shame that Dennis Smith Jr. is in New York, because I think that would have been an amazing big three. Jesus Christ, that would have been great. But, I think Dallas potentially can make the playoffs in the West, but we'll see, because I'm a basketball guy, but it's too early to tell. And as we get deeper and deeper into the winter, you'll hear me speaking more and more about the NBA. So, Carmelo Anthony, spend a little minute talking about this. As everybody knows, 2003, true freshman in Syracuse with the box braids, national champion. I still don't understand to this day how we didn't take Carmelo Anthony with the 2nd pick in the draft over freaking Darko Milicic. Like, smoking crack. What's going on? What's going on, Cheeto? My boy Cheeto Gonzalez. What's going on, man? Thank you for tuning in. So, I feel like ultimately, like the Carmelo thing, went to Denver, did his thing, then he started bouncing around, and people started trying to slander his name, things of that nature, so on and so forth. And it's just refreshing to see Carmelo Anthony in the NBA. He deserves to be in the NBA. He should be in the NBA. I think when you need a guy, if they're like, he's one of those guys all time where he's easily one of the top players all time who can effortlessly get a bucket. I'm not saying in clutch moments. I'm not saying to win a game. I'm not saying, Anything like that, I don't want nobody to take my comment and run off with it. Run all the way to Greensboro from Charlotte with my comment. But I'm saying, Carmelo Anthony is one of a handful of people to ever play basketball to anywhere on the court, really. If you that slow, bro, he gonna get a bucket. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Ain't no defense. Ain't no, you can maybe trap it or maybe double him or something. But other than that, other than doing something that's gonna create him the opportunity to get the ball away from him, if you're trying to collapse something like that, man, with Carmelo, you definitely got to definitely got to put him in a category of NBA superstars all time that could just go get a bucket when he want to go get a bucket. He's averaging 17 points a game, 6 rebounds, and like 2.2 assists or something like that. So I'm just really, really super, super, super happy to see him back in the NBA. I'm happy to see him, doing what he loved, what I'm saying, having his focus being solely on that and nothing else, what I'm saying, nothing else other than, being a dad, stuff like that. But, I'm just glad to see Carmelo back in the NBA. I'm glad to see him on a team that welcomes him. I'm glad to see him on a team of people that can appreciate his talent and know how to properly utilize the man. Trail three-pointers, things of that nature. He ain't going to give you much defense, but trail three-pointers. He's going to be able to create his own shot. He's going to be a walking mismatch for a lot of fours in the West, because a lot of fours, they not dropping no bucket like Melo. They're not shooting the rock like Melo. It's power fours to play defense in the West, don't get me wrong. But like Carmelo being in the West, it makes a whole lot of sense. 00, what you know. I'm trying to let them know, Chuck. They don't hear me though, man. I'm trying to let them know what's going on. Ja Morant. Big shout out to the state of South Carolina, by the way, man. We putting out football players, basketball players, hockey players, you know what I'm saying, baseball players, all that. All that, man. South Carolina got them ballers, man. We got them ballers for your ass, and I'm trying to let you know, hey. Ja Morant. I think Josh from upstate. So, yeah. Going at them in the NBA. Going at their net in the NBA every night. Don't care who it is, where you been, what's your notoriety, what's your accolades, none of that. Ja Morant been going at them, and I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. To me, he reminds me of, for sure. Now, this is the reason why I say this. Before I finish my Ja Morant point. I'm not saying that, like, South Carolina is not the best athletic state in the South. I don't mind saying that, because it's not a lie. But just being underrated, though, oh my God, it's ridiculous, bro. Like, we're easily the most underrated athletic state in the South, maybe the entire United States of America. Real talk. But I'm just saying. With Ja Morant, man, definitely the rookie of the year. Not even close. Ja Morant really is kind of making you forget, other than R.J. Barrett, who all got drafted in the top 4, top 5. It's like, you ask somebody that right now, okay, who was this pick or that? Like, they're like, I don't know, man, but I know that boy Ja Morant going crazy for the rookies. I feel like, personally, Ja Morant, in my opinion, you feel me? Oh, yeah, we got players, Chris Allen. I'm just saying, like, it's underrated, though, you feel me? But I feel like this, like, at the end of the game, I'll get to that in a minute. But my thing with Ja is this. Like, Ja Morant's game reminds me of, like, just a super humble, just everything you would want him to be kind of Russell Westbrook. He's active. He's a firecracker. He's the fastest thing on the court. He'll play above the rim. He'll go at the rim. He'll shoot the shot. He'll shoot his jumper. He'll disrespect you, make you look crazy, but he don't do all the extra. He young. He's just playing his role. Because a lot of people don't understand. In professional sports, if you ain't a vet, if you're a rookie, bro, just play a part. Go on about your day. Orlando Price, thank you for tuning in, man. Kobe Goodwin, thank you for tuning in. Good morning to y'all boys, man. Two good, solid partners on line right now, man. Appreciate y'all support, man, for real. But, with Ja Morant, man, like, Shot is just a dog. Like, he's just a beast. Like, he doesn't too tough think about anything that may be in his way from disallowing him to be great. He's just like, all right, bro, I'm good, and I'm pretty sure I'm better than a lot of y'all. So, I'm going to just kind of see what's going on. Ja Morant, it seems like it's kind of like watching a horse. It's kind of like watching a really great young horse run a horse race. He got his blinders on. He's just going, and he's athletic, and it's beautiful, and it's poetry in motion. You know what I mean? And that's what it's like to see Ja Morant hoop. You know what I mean? It's amazing to watch Ja Morant play because he plays with so much reckless abandon because he's not worried about who's in the NBA. He's worried about making his own name. And it makes me proud being a South Carolina athlete and a professional athlete from South Carolina as well because you get to see a guy act like that and you get to see a guy carry himself like that. I don't think you could ask for anything better. You know what I mean? In relation to college basketball, a lot of big time not Christmas, but a lot of big time Thanksgiving holiday tournaments. Shout out to University of Michigan winning the Battle of Atlantis. They're coached by Fab Five alum Juwan Howard. Super dope to see that going on in every way, shape, or form and fashion that is happening. I'm not a Michigan basketball supporter. I am hip of the Fab Five that was taking place when I was a child. I guess from a very, very far distance, if you ever were to tap in and hear this podcast, I wish you guys the best of luck, man. And, you know, I'm never rooting for y'all if y'all run into Duke in the tournament. Just putting that out there. Speaking of my Duke Blue Devils, I'm sick and tired of watching us play down against non-conference opponents. We lost to Stephen F. Austin the other day. 150 games straight, non-conference, 150 non-conference game, like win streak at home. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like an assistant coach from Duke, currently, Shane Battier, Carlos Boozer, Jason Williams were the last, those four guys and another guy were the last five starters, or last time a starting five lost at home to a non-conference opponent. Non-conference, like that. You know what I mean? So, Duke, we just got to get it together and stop playing down, man. Other teams that are really great in college basketball, they're not losing to Stephen F. Austin, bro. They're not playing Winthrop tight. And Winthrop plays good basketball. I'm from South Carolina, so I know these things. But that's ridiculous. Like, we got to get that together. And I'm sick and tired of seeing that year in and year out. Every year now, I can see us play a team like Vermont or a team like Stephen F. Austin or something. I go, okay, we got 5 games like that. We'll take an L at least. Because we don't be focused and we don't be hungry all the time. It's very aggravating to watch, to say the least. Marcus Howard. Oh, by the way, James Wiseman, I think he's got 10 games or 9 games left on the suspension, but they end up giving him 11 games out of 12, instead of 12, including the one he sat out on his own. So, 12-game suspension. NCAA, man, they need to cut it out. That's all I'm going to say about that. Marcus Howard, a 5'10" senior guard from Marquette University, 50-point game the other night. During a holiday tournament, I forget which tournament they were at, he drops 50 in a game. Why is this important? This is the 3rd straight season where he's had a 50-point game. He joins 2 of the most prolific scorers in the history of college basketball, and in my opinion, arguably, because people probably don't even know what I'm talking about, but easily a top 5 scorer all time in the history of basketball, in my personal opinion. Wayman Tisdale, posthumously, rest in peace, 82 to 85 at the University of Oklahoma as a power forward, had 3 straight seasons where he scored a 50-point game. Wayman was a little bigger guy, but Wayman had that wiggle to him and he could score. He could score. And Pistol Pete Maravich, Louisiana State University, LSU Tiger. 1967 and 1970 had 3 straight 50-point games. But this is the kicker about that. I guess a little old school tidbit, a little lesson for the day. Pete Maravich averaged 40 points a game in college basketball without the 3-point line, y'all. If he's not a top 5 scorer in the history of basketball and all-time top 5, top 10 in y'all opinion, y'all are tripping. Just putting it out there. With that being said, okay, so before I get to this fight game, we'll do a little fighting and talk about the fight game today because it's, really to me, between Deontay Wilder, John Jones, and Conor McGregor, though the top 3 names in martial arts or in violent sports like that, they're all in the news right now. So we'll get to that in a minute. But a secondary, my 2 cents on the day, John McKissick, Johnny Mac, as he's called where I'm from. If you're not from South Carolina, this really goes over your head, and I don't care. So please take the time to listen, and you might become informed. The greatest high school football coach ever is from my state. I'm very, very, very humbled and proud to have said that. He's no longer with us, people. He died on Thanksgiving. His name is John McKissick. John McKissick, I'm not even sure how old Coach Mack is. I'm not even going to lie. But John McKissick left us here on earth on Thanksgiving Day. He had 692 career wins at Somerville High School. He coached at Somerville High School, I want to say, either 37 or 47 years. 600 plus wins from one high school, people. There's no, like, even Cal Ripken's 21-31 record doesn't speak to how much longevity that is to deal with all the things that you've dealt with over 40 plus years of being a head coach in one school. In my opinion, one of the best high school football states in the country, not even close. So I had the opportunity to compete against Coach McKissick numerous times in high school. I'm a 2008 high school graduate, so I also shared the field a couple times with Jeremiah Green, a.k.a. A.J. Green, for the Cincinnati Bengals. Tell a little story, as I like to tell, about that situation. We going down there to play Summerville. Make a long story short, A.J. Green scores 4 touchdowns on the very first 4 plays of the scrimmage, because you know the offense goes, defense goes to scrimmage. So the first four plays of that scrimmage, A.J. Green runs a goal or a post and he scores. It's not even close, like it's child's play. And we were a pretty good high school, pretty damn good high school program, but it was child's play. So make a long story short, I'm looking at AJ on the far sideline. He's signing up. He's walking up and down the whole second half of the scrimmage, signing autographs. He's out of the scrimmage. He's done with his work for the day. And I'm sitting there, and I kind of knew who John McKissick was at the time. You know what I mean? Like, I knew who he was. I knew the power he had down there and stuff, but I didn't really understand the mystique of it all. And I sat there and I watched. And I played for a very, very reputable coach in high school, a guy named Jimmy Noonan, and I also played for another coach that was really, really reputable my senior year, a guy named Quay Farr. But when I looked across the sideline at the time as a sophomore and a junior, and I saw Coach McKissick coach, he was so passionate about the game. He loved the game more than you can ever imagine. He was passionate. I've never seen him MF a kid. Now, mind you, I scrimmaged against Coach McKissick and some of them for multiple years, so I wasn't around, but I saw it in a game-like situation. So you get to see a person, you get to see the most of a person in that scenario, in my opinion. And I've never seen him MF a guy. Nothing to where it was volatile or disrespectful. Nothing wrong with that. You get in the kid's ass, gotta get in his ass sometimes. But I never saw him MF a guy. I never saw him put hands on the players, snatching people up, doing anything like that. But I know people personally who have played for Johnny Mack. And I know great people that he has helped molded who have directly played for Coach Mack or Coach McKissick. A good friend of mine, Markel Willis, like I said, knowing A.J. Green kind of from a distance now nonetheless, but, playing against and competing and chatting with A.J. in high school, stuff like that. Another good buddy of mine, a guy named Brandon Millhouse. Another good buddy of mine by the name of Richard Spain. So I know those 4 guys, I know their hearts are kind of heavy right about now with the fact of losing Johnny Mack. But if nobody else takes the time on their sports platform or their sports entertainment platform to say it, I want to say it, Coach Mack. You're the greatest entity, coaching-wise, to ever be introduced to high school football. There will be nothing else like you. There will never be another coach like you. There will never be another coach where we come from, because he's a South Carolina guy. There will never be another coach in the state of South Carolina who can even try or even attempt to get close to the type of mark that you left. So, me being a South Carolina high school football alum myself, and me being a guy who definitely feels like I represent the state of South Carolina every time I put on a pair of cleats professionally, every time I put on a pair of sneakers for an arena game professionally. I definitely will continue to play vicariously through you, Coach, and I just appreciate you putting in the work that you put in for me to be able to have a platform now, or be able to use my platform now to speak about the greatness that was John McKissick. And you will be terribly, terribly sorely missed. And I know that the state of South Carolina's community of high school football, and I think we're more grateful for you than we ever could have been about anything else, because you were definitely like a god when it came to high school football coaching. And you're the best to ever do it, and you're from my state. So I appreciate you, Coach, and rest in peace, man, and God bless you and your family. So with that being said, we're segueing now to the fight game. So everybody saw it. If you haven't seen it by now, it's all over the internet. Deontay Wilder. Another second quote of the day comes from John Witherspoon, a posthumous comedian, black actor. This quote comes from This comes from the movie Next Friday when he's playing the role of Willie Jones, who at the time before they went to Fridays and he became a barbecue man, he was still the dog catcher. And he leans over Baby Joker and he says, "Young man, young man, you got knocked out." So that being said, if you guys saw, whether live or the replay by now, if you guys like I've seen a lot of knockouts. I've seen a lot of fights. I've seen a lot of professional fights. I've seen a lot of fights in locker rooms, stuff like that too. But dog, I've never seen somebody be hit and have sweat and body liquids as far as perspiration. Like I've never seen a person be hit and have their whole entire face and have all the perspiration on their upper body from their shoulder to the top hair on their head just be pushed in air off of their body in such a fast and violent way. Like I saw the perspiration jump off of Luis Ortiz's face when Deontay Wilder knocked him into next week. Let me speak more to the technique of the punch. He was baiting him all night. It was such a ridiculously. I'm gonna come back with the second Instagram post. No, I don't want to share it. Okay, here we go. Why can't I save this video? That's very aggravating. But okay, let me do one more. All right, there we go. Here we go, guys. Excuse me, 1 second, guys. Okay, we're back. All right, we're back. So with that being said, with the Deontay Wilder situation. And by the way, the Instagram Live runs out after an hour. So I always got to reset you guys' Instagram Live because Facebook doesn't do the same thing. So I always got to reset that. So Chris, Chuck, y'all boys come back in. You know what I'm saying? I apologize for that. But just a technical difficulty. Thought I would, I ain't even done with the fight talk. But yeah, like I said, Willie Jones quote, John Witherspoon, you got knocked the F out. Young man. Like, it was crazy, Chris. It was crazy. So he bet. But yeah, with Deontay Wilder, like I said, the technique of what happened, he's baiting him all night, 6 rounds in. He got everybody thinking he's losing the fight. He got the announcers thinking it. He got the guy who's supposed to be like the guest card man or the guest scorecard analysis expert. He's like, "Oh, Deontay losing on points. Man, let me explain something to y'all. The way he hit that boy with that straight jab, man, that was ridiculous. Like, and then on top of that, it was how hard and how much of an impact that he hit him with. Like, when he hit him, good morning, Lucian Walker. Thank you for tuning in, big homie. It's crazy, like, the impact that he hit Buddy with. Like, he hit Buddy, and it's like, Luis was in the ring. He was kind of trying to box. He was trying to do his thing. And then when Deontay hit him, it's like his whole life stopped for a moment. And then he hit the ground and his life started to, like, recontinue. Like, that's how hard that Deontay hit him. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Ortiz ain't want to fight no more, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I get in the ring with Deontay. Deontay hit me one time like that, I fall out, they pay me after the bet. I wake up after being knocked out, they pay me. I take that loss and go on about my day. But, man, all I'm saying is this. He fights Tyson Fury February 22nd, 222. I'm pretty sure it'll be in Vegas. Tyson Fury. Right, bro. The sweat, the spit, the oil, the grease. He knocked facial hair off that boy's face. You hear me? He ain't had no facial hair. That stuff crazy. But this is my thing. I feel like ultimately with the fight being February 22nd against him and Tyson Fury for round 2, man, I don't mind saying right now that he's going to knock Tyson Fury out. Now, Tyson Fury is bigger than Deontay, right? He's taller than Deontay, but he's also a hell of a fighter. He's a good technician. He got good hands. He's consistent. He's always working on his body nowadays compared to before. You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. So, I feel like ultimately it'll be very, very interesting to see what's going on with Deontay Wilder after the fact in relation to what he got going on. You know what I mean? But ultimately, I just wanted to speak on that because it was one of the biggest events in sports that happened in the last 2 weeks. And how he knocked that boy into next week, that stuff didn't make no doggone sense. So, looking at... Oop, Facebook fell. What time is it? Okay. So, looking at John Jones. He fights Dominic Reyes February the 8th, 2020. So, John Jones is coming back to the ring. Basically, in a nutshell, everything was cool with John Jones until you started getting popped for like coke and stuff like that. Not too tough the whole weed thing, you know what I mean? But like when you guys started getting popped for like coke and stuff, people like, okay, well, John, yeah, you might have a problem, buddy. Like you tripping. So boom, it was a scenario where now, he had to go through all this dumb stuff like that. He came back. He's had like 2 fights, if I'm not mistaken, since before this fight coming up. So seeing him in February 8th, which is that's 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks before the Deontay fight. So it would be really cool to see 2 brothers, Deontay doing his thing and see John Jones being able to do that thing in the fight game in the same month. And it's Martin Luther King month. So, excuse me, not Martin Luther King month. Martin Luther King Day is January, but it's Black History Month. So I think that's really cool. I don't mind saying that. So that's really dope to me. Conor McGregor versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. January 18th. Thank you for tuning back in, Chuck. January 18th, 2020. Now, my thing is this. I'm not a Conor McGregor fan because, I like how he fights, but I don't watch him. I'm not a fan of Conor McGregor. That don't mean I don't like him. A lot of people say now, well, I'm not a fan of something. I mean I don't like him. No, I don't mind Conor McGregor. Great dude, Irishman, got out the mud. He the type of story you would want to, that would motivate a brother. You feel me? Motivate you want to go out and get your own bag, get your own something. But, I'm not gonna stop everything I'm doing to try to find Conor McGregor fighting Cowboy Cerrone. I feel like the most he could have ever done was fight Floyd. And now that you're coming back to the UFC, it makes it seem like you did it in terrible timing. It's like, why you go through all... Now, granted, let me be clear, because I know my boy Chuck will say he went to get the bag. I get it. But that bag would have been waiting. Floyd don't gotta really waste he don't really gotta take no time to get ready to fight you for 12 rounds, bro, in a boxing ring when you gassed out in 4.5 rounds. You know what I'm saying? So he could have got that bag later. Could have just stayed in the UFC, but it was big and he struck while the iron was hot, so I'm not hating on that. I'm not mad at that at all. But all in all, it's really dope to see Deontay, John Jones, and Conor McGregor all doing what they do, all being big dogs back in the game in their respective time, and them becoming a big dog in the game again. And I think it's super cool to see. I cannot wait to see it. You know what I mean? And I definitely, find myself ridiculously excited to see what the fight game will look like early 2020 because there's a lot of fireworks that's going to be going on before March the 1st. So once again, to give y'all those dates because fights are really date heavy. John Jones fights Dominic Reyes February the 8th, 2020. Shard, my boy right there, man. Good dude, right? Good wholesome brother right there. That's my man's right there. What's good, Shard? But I'm just glad you tuned in to see me doing what I love, bro. Like I told you, when you just talk about this, when you get me a podcast, I'm podcasting, dog. Trying to work my one, man. I get it, man. I'm country, baby. we gonna make it work, dog. Thoroughly appreciate you tuning in, bro. I thoroughly appreciate you tuning in to see me do what I love, man. And I'm glad that you feel me. I'm glad that I'm here to give you to have a platform for you to check me out on, my boy. Real talk. Once again with these fight dates, Conor McGregor, January the 18th, 2020 versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. I want to say that's UFC 246, but don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure UFC 246, so Google that if you choose. The Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 2 fight, February 22nd, 2020, Vegas. 222 for those who, Oh, and by the way, it's not hard to get out. It's not really super expensive to get out of Vegas to go see stuff like that, y'all. Just putting that out there. I won't go into the details because I got to drop names of companies stuff that don't sponsor me, so I won't do that. But yeah, it's not hard to go down and check out the stuff live. You know what I mean? Because a fight's dope to go see live. Let me see. Make sure I don't want to miss anything. Oh yeah, the Arena Football League. So they filed Chapter 7. I can't say I have a way to feel about it. I can say that I want to send once again, like I sent a post yesterday, not to be repetitive, but sending a special shout out to Coach Derek Stingley, because Coach Sting gave me my first opportunity in the AFL. Big shout out to Clint Dozell, giving me my next opportunity in the AFL. A coach that I played for, and I didn't even realize the historical greatness of the man until I got there like a day into it, because I'm a football junkie. It don't take me long to figure out who's who. But I played for Doug Plank, 2013, with when I was trying to get on with the Orlando Predators. People don't know this, but Doug Plank came up with what we call a 4-6 bear defense. So that was really, really, really dope to be around a guy like that. One thing, all I'll say about the AFL is this. I was lucky enough, as a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, 302-pound soaking wet rookie offensive lineman who thought he knew everything about football, because I had the blessing of going to the NFL briefly. Like, I really slept on it. And I went out there, Zach Maines, good morning, man, thank you for tuning in. I had opportunity to go against guys like Willie McGinnis, guys like Curtis Young, guys like Gary Butler, and they showed me in a very, very quick manner that I might be biting off more than I can chew, but more specifically, I've slept on what the entity and the legitimacy that is arena football. From there, I was blessed enough to segue to Orlando with the Predators, and I was able to be around Aaron Garcia, arguably, other than, in my opinion, Cedric Bonner and Mark Grebe, arguably the best arena football quarterback all time, one of the best quarterbacks in professional football all time. When you look at statistics and things he's done, Canada, NFL, AFL. So, and just seeing how he prepared every day, even how to, even just seeing how he ate breakfast every day, just the little stuff that I was able to figure out about being around a otherworldly legend like Aaron Garcia in the realm of arena football, and see and learn different ways that I could prepare to be the best athlete I needed to be every single day. Because he did it every single day and never changed. I was blessed to segue to the Philadelphia Soul in 2014 and make some now lifelong relationships with some people that I'm very, very good friends with. My boy Nick Hag, we started together out there. We were fighting in practice and all that stuff almost every day, going crazy. My boy, man, he's gonna be out there somewhere out there playing this year. From there, seeing guys like Brendan Carvalho, not really ever, like, I don't think I've ever heard Brendan Carvalho say more than 15 words to me in my entire life, and I've known Vallo since 2014. But Vallo, at the time when he was in the AFL, arguably was the best center in the league, and it wasn't even close. And he never was flashy. I ain't gonna lie, I never seen Vallo. I saw Vallo work out 3-4 times, maybe, but he just got the job done. So he showed me the value and the ability to respect preparation and what you do when no one's watching. Because not too many people would watch Brendan Carvalho, but he always got the job done. And he always got the job done in an elite and dominating fashion. I was able to meet a brother named Phil Bogle. He's now the director of game operations for the entire NFL. Just gave me a lot of good, Miss Lauren, thank you for tuning in. Brother Willie, thank you for tuning in as well. Good morning, thank you for your support, my boy. Had a chance to meet a brother named Phil Bogle. He gave me a lot of really, really important lessons and values about just life and just how to carry yourself as a man in an arena, in a realm of other men, other alpha males like yourself. So, I appreciate you, Coach Bogle, for all the information you gave me in those particular conversations. Some about life and some about football and life. So I appreciate you, my boy. Learning the value of, like, how you grind when you're grinding. This is what I mean. Wow, that's really big. Mr. Deese, I really appreciate you tuning into my podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I just had Derek Deese tune into my podcast. In my opinion, arguably one of the top 2 or 3 offensive guards of the 1990s, of the decade of the 90s and the early 2000s in the NFL. He was a long-time great for the San Francisco 49ers. I thoroughly appreciate your support, sir. Big fan of you from a distance. That being said, it's a scenario where, I was able to be around a guy named Anthony Tiger Jones and seeing how working a product or working a craft can be, how important it can be. I literally used to watch Dan Rondabaugh take 3-step drops with his eyes closed and throw sail routes to Tiger Jones because it was that easy, it was that sharp, and it was that consistent every single time. Never broke stride. Being around guys like Joe Gooseby, James Romaine, Jason Jones, Kent Richardson, Christian Wise, Tanner Varner, Willie McGinnis, Larry Boogie Brackens, Calvin Fance, my boy Pudge, just to name a few. If I forget your name, it ain't because I forgot you, it's just because my mind's mush because of football, man. But I can say to the Arena Football League, I appreciate you. I'm sad you're gone. I hope one day you can come back. I hope one day I can actually make it to a point of playing in an AFL game, a real AFL game. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely am a better athlete. I'm definitely a better offensive lineman because of what the Arena Football League taught me at the integral part of my career professionally when I started it. So I'm super thankful. But on the other hand, the Indoor Football League, the #1 arena football league in the world now. I don't mind saying this on this platform. Television contracts pay the players more. The players should unionize. Yes, we should. Just saying. With that being said, having even better pay for the coaches, stuff like that. League-wide apparel endorsement, preferably Nike. Just saying, I'm a Nike guy, I'm sorry. But, things of that nature. The IFL is a league since 2012, 2013, in my opinion, that has been one of the most slept-on professional leagues in all of sports, period, internationally or nationally. That being said, the IFL, I think it's time for the IFL and our leadership now, who's Todd Tryon, the former uber-successful owner of the Sioux Falls Storm, who's historically the best team in our league, but now, it's a few different teams that can speak to that title or can take that title if they wanted. Well, they still the big dog. They just won the United Bowl. So, that being said, I feel like the IFL should definitely take up a different position on things and take more of the bull by the horns and take advantage of the fact that we are the #1 arena football entity to be offered to a customer right now. And I feel like ultimately it's not hard, it's not difficult, but I would suggest you guys have the mindset to reach out to players, reach out to people like myself who are passionate about the IFL being great, who are passionate about the IFL being a national brand. The XFL is going to drop very, very soon. With the Arena Football League not coming around, those viewers are going to come to the IFL, but they're going to immediately revolve to the XFL, especially because of the fact you can turn on TV. You can turn on TV and you can watch the XFL this upcoming year. Can't necessarily do that unless you got Fox Sports Arizona with Arizona Rattlers. I'm just saying. Or unless you got Mediacom in Iowa. I'm just being honest. So, a few things should change with what we want to do in the IFL to make the IFL what it is and what it should be. But we will see. And, to say that I'm a part of this, to say that I'm definitely proud to be a part of that is an understatement. So 2020 will be a great year. So I cannot wait. But I don't think I have anything left to cover, everybody. I don't know, I would say at least 18 plus people that tuned in over here. The 8 or 9 Instagram people I had tuned in, thank you so much. Thoroughly enjoy you guys as well every single Monday. Whether my co-host is here or not, I'll be back next Monday. Hopefully my co-host Stephen Untied will be back next Monday as well. Once again, special shout out once again to Derek Deese. And once again, guys, any viewer that I get is a special viewer. But just for the sake of business, like I said, I'm pretty sure you're a busy man, Derek, although retired. You spent a smidget of your day to listen to me talk sports. Touch my heart, man, because I really appreciate it. You're an offensive lineman like I am. Not on the same level, obviously, because you're Derek Deese, but nonetheless, I just appreciate the support from one lineman to the next. I don't think I got to go into too much detail about what I mean, but I appreciate it, brother. That being said, Chris Sams, thank you for tuning in every week. Charles McCullum, thank you for tuning in every week. Ms. Lauren, thank you for tuning in every episode. My Aunt Jerry, thank you for tuning in every episode. Also, lastly, I'm dedicating this episode to my mom. For those who don't know, I found out over the Thanksgiving holiday, like she's kind of starting to deal with like early onset dementia, stuff like that. She has her days, her good days, her bad days. I felt like if I could talk to the world about it, I'd feel better. You know what I mean? But just knowing that I'm in a situation with the number one person I love the most in the world, like being in the state she is in now, it just really makes me feel good to know that I'm making her proud and that I'm doing what I love, because that's all she ever asked of me, was to never embarrass her name and to do everything I love. So, Mom, I love you. I love you more than anything in the world. And I'm going to keep making sure I strive to make this sports podcast the very best sports podcast in the whole world, not just the United States. So I wanted to dedicate this episode number 3/4 to my mother, Myra Mosley. And I appreciate your prayers, Chris. I appreciate your prayers for anybody who heard that. And I guess last but not least, my name is Jordan Mosley. Once again, my co-host Stephen Untied, who is out today. But once again, man, my name is Jordan Mosley. This has been Untied Jordans, episode 3/4. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys have a blessed Monday. Enjoy yourselves. All right.